these strange cats on the road, these Padas cats. But it turns out that these cats were interfered with by artificial intelligence in the image, and they apparently mixed them with these raccoons. That's why they look so strange. So it's not a real image, it's an image made with it. He had the cats, which are cats that are well known. These are them. They're the real ones. They're said to be the grumpiest cats in the world, right? They're fluffy and cute, but also quite unfriendly. There's their little face, not the real face, not the face we're seeing here. Well, it's a mix with raccoons that they made there at EAI, and it turned out pretty funny, pretty cute. Also, another image that wasn't mentioned, this one did happen. Well, it's this. Well, a surprise that came up. By the way, in Nayarit, according to reports, the animal is this. Well, a sea lion, not an elephant seal. They call it an elephant seal that appears on the beaches of Nayarit. Well, impressive, surprising, and well, there it is. It just showed up like that on the tourist beach. Obviously, seeing its size compared to the tourists is really amazing. It's quite, impressive. They're really big. And, well, everyone is recording it, right? Also, well, another surprising image is this picture from Donald Trump's post, in which, well, in the previous broadcast, we mentioned this threat he made toward Iran. The thing is, now the Iranians have also responded. Let's look up. There is the post from Iran's official page at the United Nations, the mission they have at the United Nations. The thing is, let's look at Iran's post at the United Nations, the mission they have, the United Nations. The mission they have at the United Nations. The thing is that the Iranians responded. Let's look at Iran's post. The United Nations, the mission that the United Nations, the mission that they have at the United Nations. The thing is that the Iranians responded. Let's look at the post. Iran at the United Nations, the mission they have at the United Nations, the one they have at the United Nations. It seems like that's where this situation is heading. The thing is that the Iranians have responded. Let's see. There's the United Nations, the mission they have at the United Nations, the mission they have at the United Nations. The thing is that the Iranians have responded. Let's meet. There's the publication. Iran at the United Nations. And that the attack and already entering the continental zone, and that they actually get in, let's say, with soldiers inside the United States. Well, Pearl Harbor would be the closest thing. The thing is that they have responded. Let's look at the publication from Iran at the United Nations mission. The thing is, the Iranians have responded. Let's look at the official publication from Iran. United Nations mission, the United Nations, the mission they have at the United Nations, the mission they have at the United Nations, to United States territory from powers like North Korea, Russia, even China itself. The thing is that Iranians, United Nations publication that they have at the United Nations, the mission they have at the United Nations, the issue is that Iranians have responded. Let's look at the publication. At the mission at the United Nations, the mission they have at the United Nations, the mission at the United Nations. The closeness with Russia through the issue that the Iranians have responded to. Let's look at it. Iran's publication. United Nations mission, the United Nations. The mission that they have at the United Nations. The mission that they have at the United Nations. The thing is that Iranians have responded. Let's meet. The mission that United Nations, the mission they have, United Nations, their mission, United Nations, contained, blocking its influence in the Western Pacific and preventing it from dominating maritime routes. Key. The matter that the Iranians have responded. Let's meet. There's the United Nations. The mission at the United Nations. The mission they have at the United Nations. The mission they have at the United Nations. The thing is that the Iranians have responded. Let's meet. There's the United Nations publication. The United Nations as well. That's why what they're doing with Pakistan through this matter is Iranians. They've responded. Let's meet. The United Nations. The mission that they have at the United Nations, the mission that they have at the United Nations, both to receive oil and to sell products through Pakistan. Here's the main issue, the publication they have at the United Nations. The mission they have at the United Nations, the mission of the United Nations. Iranians, let's see, there's the United Nations publication, the mission that they have at the United Nations, the issue with the Iranians, let's see, the United Nations. the mission they have at the United Nations, the mission they have. The issue that the Iranians have responded to, let's see, the United Nations publication. The mission they have is, statistically, how these objects are behaving, where they are appearing, on what dates, and in which regions do they appear. The thing is, let's see, there's the publication. United Nations, the mission they have at the United Nations, the mission they have at the United Nations. Of the real sightings, because obviously not all the objects can be captured, right? I mean, if there are 2,000, the reality is that there could be many thousands more. The thing is that the Iranians, let's look at it. The United Nations publication, the mission they have at the United Nations, the one they have at the United Nations, only 5% are being reported. If only 5% are being reported, just imagine how many there really are. We're talking about tens of thousands of unexplained objects. The thing is that Iranians have, let's see, there's the United Nations publication, the mission they have at the United Nations, the mission they have at the United Nations. The thing is, the Iranians have responded to the publication they have at the United Nations mission. It is requested then that the matter that the Iranians have responded to, let's see, there's the United Nations publication, the mission that the United Nations, the matter is, they have responded. Let's see the publication of the mission that the United Nations, the mission they have there.
Many great opportunities are available in various ways. It's a long time in politics, try 8 years, because it's 8 years since a British Prime Minister stepped on Chinese soil.
To be of different, it's long time in years, Minister. On soil. Careful with that topic. The way some of these things have been experienced, some of these issues really draw a lot of attention. Regardless, the point is that Iranians, let's look at ourselves, United Nations publication, the mission they have at the United Nations, the mission they have at the United Nations, the mission they have at the United Nations. There it is, appearing in these images, where the Chinese army is and the Prime Minister is, walking alongside them. He says, well, the point is that Iranians have responded, let's look at ourselves. A publication from the United Nations, their mission at the United Nations, the one they have at the United Nations. The point is that the Iranians, the United Nations, the mission they have at the United Nations, the mission they have at the United Nations, The point is that the Iranians let's see, there's the publication from the mission they have at the United Nations, the point about the Iranians. Answered, let's see the publication. The United Nations, their mission at the United Nations, United Kingdom. The point is, Iranians have answered, let's see the publication. The United Nations, the mission they have at the United Nations, the one they have at the United Nations, that Iranians, let's look at this publication. The mission they have at the United Nations, the mission they have, the United Nations. That Iranians responded, let's look at the United Nations, the mission they have at the United Nations. All of this is interesting and positive, considering what's happening in the world. Let me tell you that right now, there's a notice about the issue. It's Iranians, they've responded, let's meet. The publication is there. The United Nations, their mission at the United Nations, that a large percentage of the world's oil passes through here. That's the thing about the Iranians. The publication is there. United Nations, the mission they have at the United Nations, the mission they have at the United Nations. There aren't any pipelines they're going to send through, no. So the problem here is that, right? And the United States, for what it has done, is to conduct exercises in this area, supposedly, and we'll have to wait for this to be confirmed. The thing is that the Iranians, let's see their response. There's the publication from the United Nations, the mission they have at the United Nations. The thing is that the Iranians, have responded. The thing is that they have responded. Let's see, there's the United Nations. The mission they have, the United Nations, the mission they have at the United Nations. The thing is, the Iranians have responded. Let's meet. There's the publication, the mission they have, the United Nations. The mission they have at the United Nations. There's the publication, the United Nations, the mission they have, the mission at the United Nations. The thing is that Iranians responded. Let's see. The publication of the mission they have at the United Nations, the mission they have at the United Nations to destabilize and still have their economy do well, their currency do well, right? So they have the ability to, well, have checks and balances in power, right? Here in Mexico and in most Latin American countries, presidents are untouchable, right? Former presidents and presidents really are untouchable. That's clearly not the case in Peru, which is great. Colombia has dropped to 50th place in 2025. Russia ranks 60th, Iran 59th, and the United States falls to 48th. So Algeria, for example, Qatar, Turkey, do they have more confidence than the United States, or is there more confidence towards that country, towards those countries? United Arab Emirates, Romania, South Africa, what about the United States? That tells you a lot. In the end, they're just statistics, right? But I mean, it tells you a lot about how things are going. Well, realities and perceptions, right? Realities and perceptions. So, well, this is a very interesting matter, and well, there you have it. Well, Spain will be ready there, very well, ranked 14th in the world in that sense. I think Japan is 8th, which is also a very reliable country in that regard. Well, that's how things are. Let's move on to other important topics. There it is, now I found it. Look, there's a detail that's not minor. I think it's important. The Kremlin is now showing willingness, they say, to organize, let's say, a meeting, a gathering between Zelensky. The United States and Ukraine suggested doing it in Moscow today, right? They're being told it's fine to have the meeting, but it should be in a neutral country. And once again, Qatar is coming up, Turkey is coming up again, even Hungary as a possibility for negotiations to take place. Last week it was in Abu Dhabi, and it could happen again. If it does, that would be another important point, right? The thing is, it's basically a waste of time, and the war just goes on. Or a situation where they're just trying to negotiate as much as possible to get all the territory they can, right? The Ukrainians and the Russians had a meeting in Abu Dhabi where basically what Moscow is asking for is everything. Donbass, and what Ukraine is saying is, well, I can give you some things, but I can't give you all of Donbass, right? They also recalled that it's no secret to anyone that the territorial issue is the same formula that Russia has been using in other years. Right, they've tried to do it with other countries too? Come on. That formula is already very well known, and if you negotiate now, no one can guarantee that they won't come back and do the same thing later on. So that's why Ukraine wants to guarantee that part, and those guarantees basically have to come from NATO. Let's move on to the comments. Goodbye. How have you been? Thanks for joining us for a bit. Greetings to Francisco Arce and Blanca Barcelo. Hey, the dollar is really strong, Blanca. Yes, that's right, that's right. I mean, it's crazy. And gold, gold is just insane. Did you see gold today? Remember when it was barely hitting $5,000 not long ago? Barely reaching 5,000, and it was like it didn't even want to. I said if it passes 5,000 and doesn't drop, it'll keep rising. Who knows how far? It's already at $3,342. That's where it is right now. In fact, when we started the first live stream, it was at 3,300, and it was stuck there, 3,299, 3,300, 3,288, and that's how it was, right? It's already at 3,342 and keeps rising. Impressive. And I remember Luis Cava, right? About a year ago, he mentioned that his analysis claimed it could sell for up to $10,000, which seemed crazy then. Now it doesn't seem so crazy, does it? I mean, I don't know what he thinks about it now, but it's not just gold. Gold, look, check this out. So check this out. Oil. Do you remember those lines we had marked here? Well, that I marked, there wasn't a new high. This line wasn't a new high. I said if it doesn't break this high, the price may return here. But if it does, be careful. Oil could skyrocket. So this high was broken and it apparently made another high because it bounced here. It couldn't go any higher. It couldn't go any higher. It couldn't go any higher. The price. I said if it doesn't break through, but if it does, it takes off. Just look at where oil is going now. There it is. Oil. And if you say, hey, well, the United States economy is being affected, I mean, not really, because look at the economy right now. I mean, where is it? Yes, there was a slight drop today, the S&P 500, but it's at its all-time highs, the S&P 500. I mean, look, I want you to see this, to see where the S&P 500 is coming from. Up, 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 and it stays up there. The S&P 500 is just a few dollars from a new all-time high. It's not having a drop. It's not. The NASDAQ, let's see. Let's check. The NASDAQ is also up. Look, it's up. It went up, 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 and it's still up. It hasn't had a drop. It hasn't had a correction. But how is the dollar doing? Huge drop of the dollar against the euro. Look, it's a big drop. I mean, it's crazy. Against the peso, how is it doing with the peso? There is the dollar. Drop as well. Yesterday was about the same as today, around 17, 17, 10, 17, 20. I mean, also incredible, right? The dollar has fallen a lot and they don't seem interested in stopping it. And what's happening with Japan just shows that what's happening in Japan, either the dollar has a huge recovery and shoots up now, or what's happening in Japan, or its fall. Well, there you go. The harshest warnings talk about a 50, meaning a 50% drop along the dollar. We're talking about a hard drop. Do they think it wouldn't happen in a year, or would it be more like a 2-year process? Not fall, 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 fall until it gets more or less to the dollar. Let's say if it were in terms of euros, it would be reaching about 40 cents, 40 or 50 cents per euro. In the case of Mexican pesos, it would be reaching about 8 or 9 pesos more or less. Just imagine, I mean, it's crazy, right? Says Pepe, doesn't it seem strange to you? It seems like you forget about the war that China is waging in Ukraine. Trump was already counting on this. If the world is ruled by the communists, says the wild officer, then it's dominated by the communists. So, you mean because of the support that China has in Russia? Is that what you're referring to? Yes, because yes, I've mentioned it a bunch of times. In fact, right now, the Orisnik work thanks to what China sends to Russia. Without the attachments and supplies from China, Orisnik couldn't exist like that. Orisnik exists because of China. But despite that, well, Europe, and it doesn't matter if they're right wing or left wing, they're having a huge relationship with China. There's Italy, there's even Argentina with Milei. I mean, it's not a matter of communism, it's not a matter of left or right, it's a matter of logic and strategy. If the country you can do the most business with is limiting you, putting up tariffs, and acting that way, then you say, I'll look for other opportunities, and not just that. China, there's India, there's Vietnam, there's South Africa, Egypt, and so on. Many countries on that list, including Brazil, do business with China, Europe, and the United States. The world isn't just red or blue anymore, it's not like that, and anyone who still sees it that way is just wasting their time, right? Just like Donald Trump is doing on that topic. He's not wasting his time, while Europe says, I'm not going to waste my time. I'm going to do business wherever there are business opportunities. That's the deal, he says. Greetings, how have you been, Aurelio? Very good, Eliseo Jose, how are you? How have you been? The magical Luna El Beto, 26, 22, 27, 65. Can you imitate then, without an apple suit? Again, you said something like nobody does anything. Greetings, how have you been? Spain has granted amnesty to immigrants, offering 500,000 a one-year work permit. That's the topic. Yes, I don't know if we talked about it, that's recent, but yes, I've checked it, I was checking it. Greetings. He says in Spain, we want respectful Hispanic friends. No problem. Eliseo, how are you? Mario Cruz Francisco. Spain is shocked by the amnesty, he says. Well, the YouTube analysts, yes, well, there are all kinds, not just them. There are a lot of analysts like this. Some are centrist, some left-wing, and some right-wing. The really far right-wing ones, well, they are. They're always anti-immigrant, while the left-wing are more pro, and others are neutral. It can be done if it's necessary, but it has to be done intelligently, right? That's what has always been asked for, that it be done intelligently. On this, we'd have to see how it works, but it's 50,000. What we do have to remember is that Spain, as you see it with a lot of trouble with this Pedro Sanchez and all those issues that people criticize him for, and they're right about a lot of things. But Spain is one of the countries with the highest growth right now in Europe. I mean, in Europe, there's really good growth at the moment. In just a few countries, almost all of them are stagnant. Spain is not one of those. Spain is doing well. And, well, I mean, now, if that's actually reaching most people, well, I don't know. It's up to the Spanish people, but I look at gross domestic product and economic growth. Which country is actually growing? When I saw the statistics for Spain, I said, wow, that was a surprise for me at least. I didn't know they were at that level of growth. I said, look. And that's the move with China. For Pedro Sanchez, it's working out. At first, Europeans questioned him for doing business with China, but that's changed now. United Kingdom, Germany, Italy. Go stay. Well, everyone, right? Today we're going to do business with China. No. At least that worked out for him, right? And with China, India, and others, right? The same thing that von der Leyen does by going with the Indians, right? I think it's right that India is taken into account because in the end, well, India has impressive potential. And if India grows by 2, 3 or 5%, well, that's it. It's the most populated country in the world. And with that, do you think that's amazing? No, I don't know how it is because I don't have friends in that area of doing business with India. I don't know how they operate, how honest they are and all that. I have friends who've done business with China or the United States. Here we mostly do business with the United States over other countries. But it's been like that for about 15 years or more. Many Mexicans open businesses in China selling products there. There's still a long way to go since people don't know much about the culture yet. But yes, here the private universities are more focused on business and they have an approach of selling things to other countries. No, not just the United States either, because there are a lot of problems with all these policies they put in place, even with the free trade agreement. Well, it really does help a lot with doing business. There have been many restrictions, haven't they, gone against that agreement, so it's not fully enforced, is it? How are you, Eliseo Jesus? Very good. Greetings from Spain. How have you been? Mario Cruz? Well, we'll keep talking about this topic later. Let's go to another live stream. Let's talk about other topics because there are other matters, right? And what's happening in the world is also interesting. There's a warning being issued right now, which I find interesting. We'll talk about it in a few more minutes. Take care. Have a great afternoon. We'll see each other while you make coffee and be back here. Take care.